find the murderer sitting next to you. You think I'd get it sitting next to you. And after all I've said, please don't forget. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the hurtful feelings. We don't deal with outsiders very well. They say newcomers have a certain smell. Yeah, trust issues not to mention. They say. Well, we seem to be live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode, another exciting episode of That Album with my dear friend Josh Matten.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, and Blurryface, 21 Pilots.
Yes.
So this was, again, as so many of these are actually, a voyage of discovery for me.
Brilliant. Well, I'm hopefully you're going to enjoy it. I think just before we kicked off, I was always very nervous when I introduced you to a new album or a new band, one that I really love. And this one is a bit different because, as some of you will know, I'm a huge rock and heavy metal fan. And this isn't rock and heavy metal, but this band completely captured me. Little story: I lived in the Netherlands, 300 meters away from a site which is the largest. Sorry, it's the longest running, continuously running rock festival in Europe called Pink Pop.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands, close to the German border, and it's got quite an eclectic set list of bands. Including we had Nile Rodgers and Chic playing. We had Metallica playing. Pearl Jam.
Now there's a band I've not heard for a while.
Oh, they were amazing. So we had Chic. You had Ziggy Marley playing all his dad's best stuff. And then just before Metallica came on, there was this band called 21 Pilots. I'd heard them. I went, oh, okay. I'd heard of them. And then they came on, they did their first song, which was Heathens, which you just heard. And I went, oh, I know this. And then they utterly blew me away. What an amazing group of relatively young musicians. Just fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
And that was only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, this is. I mean, they've been around for a while, but this is a relatively recent by that album standards. This is a relatively recent album. So this is 2015, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so what happened in 2015? It's quite funny actually, because obviously we can all remember that fight. It's not like 1970 where you think, oh, that's it. I can't believe it's that long ago. So Storm Dennis, the Charlie Hebdo shootings.
Oh God.
The last Ethel Lang, yeah, the last person born during Queen Victoria's reign died.
Wow.
There was an earthquake with a 3.8 magnitude felt across the Midlands. Gary Glitter was sentenced. Rolf Harris was sentenced. Jimmy Savile, more revelations about that. Jeremy Clarkson was sacked from Top Gear.
Right.
And Buckingham Palace denies any impropriety with minors with regards to Prince.
Yes.
So it was all quite an interesting year. And who was the one of the headline stars at Glastonbury that year?
Oh,
yeah. If you don't know, it was the Dalai Lama.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So who knew? Nobody obviously of note yet was born in that year because it's recent, but died. Warren Mitchell, Jimmy Hill, Dennis Healy, Jackie Collins, Cilla Black, Ron Moody, Christopher Lee, Terry Pratchett, and Lemmy all died that year.
Oh, Terry Pratchett and Lemmy.
Yeah,
I adore Terry Pratchett and I love Lemmy.
Yeah, and not much in the way of albums. So 25, Adele. I mean, obviously there were loads of albums released, but nothing of particular interest to me. Head Full of Dreams, Coldplay. Not that's particular interest to me, but it's a big one. And Emotion, Carly Rae Jepsen. Okay. who's got probably the song that's used more than any other on TikTok. Call Me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so an interesting recent year from a news perspective.
Yes. I think I got promoted that year.
Like every other year for you. So these guys formed in 2009, apparently. So two young guys that met each other at school.
Well, yeah. Well, it was
skate park, didn't they?
Yeah, it was. There were three of them, and it was Tyler Joseph, who's the principal singer and songwriter, and then a guy called Nick Thomas and Chris Sahil. They formed the initial band, but both Chris and Nick decided that they had too much on, and they had other careers that they wanted to form, so they left. But they suggested this guy called Josh Dunn as a drummer who they might want to take on, and it became a duo. My word, the skills, all of the music that's played is played by these two alone on the album, and it's bloody impressive when you hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I thought so. Bear in mind, this is not a band that I'd heard of. I thought it was quite impressive that they received a Grammy Award for Best Pop Group Performance at the 59th Grammys. The band independently released 2 albums before being signed by the Fueled record label. The debut became the second album in history on which every track received at least a gold certification.
Yes, it's the first time. Yeah. Ewan's made a good point. Drones by Muse, a brilliant album. Yeah.
Yes. And then they had the release of Heathens also made the group the first alternative artist in history to have 2 concurrent top 5 singles in the Billboard Hot 100, and the third rock act in history to have 2 singles simultaneously chart in the top 5 of the Billboard Hot 100, joining the Beatles and Elvis Presley. So in good company from that perspective.
Yes, and they're incredibly young and incredibly talented. But the thing that I think one of the most unique things about this band is, what genre would you put them in?
Well, this has been yes, this was a challenge, and actually in many ways underlines the problem that I have with the band. Is that the elements of it are reggae, obviously, elements of it are rap, obviously, elements of it are alternative rock, obviously, so we've got 3 very contrasting styles and genres going on in their music. So I mean, they are a difficult band to pigeonhole. That's
they're described as alternative rock, electronic rock, pop, alternative hip hop, rap rock, indie rock, pop rock, electronic rock, indie-tronica, electronica, reggae, synth pop, folk, R&B. And there are so much. And you're not the first person to say that trying to tie them down can sometimes, or not tie them down, that sometimes they're almost too eclectic. And there are some songs on here which I would say, oh, come on, give it a rest. But there are others on it which I just adore. They are quite intriguing. The band's name's quite interesting as well. Did you read up about that? What the name?
Sorry, no, I didn't.
Right,
why the band were called 21 Pilots?
Yeah, so 21 Pilots is actually based around a book by Arthur Miller called All My Sons, which is a play about a man who finds that equipment he's making for World War II aircraft is faulty. And he must decide whether he loses money in his business by recalling them or by issuing them. And he issues them. And 21 pilots die as a result.
That's a bit of a sobering thought, isn't it?
It is. And but there's was quite interesting, and it's all about the dichotomy. And an awful lot of the music is about mental health issues, which they have, but which Tyler suffers from, the singer and principal songwriter. And so that there's an element of that runs through a lot of their music. And did you do much on the lore? What I mean lore, as in the story?
No. So I found that there were I found a few sources for information about them, but a lot of it was just kind of factual stuff rather than the backstory. So do educate.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
do your best sales pitch for the band.
The best sales pitch to the band. Well, concept albums. Yeah, you like prog a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not offended by concept albums.
No, not in
these guys have released 5 that are all one concept. There is a long-running story about a guy called Clancy in a dystopian world, which is kind of a mixture of Lord of the Rings and some modern-day nightmare. And their videos are peppered with this theme that and it's bloody impressive that they actually started way back with this idea, and they write about the songs aren't necessarily truly conceptual, but there are always conceptual elements in it. And so there is something called if you go on and put I Am Clancy into and 21 Pilots, it's basically a video running through the story with him just reading, because he's quite a poet. He's writing this story, and then there are images flashing up from the videos which highlight what's actually been going on for the last 15 years. And that's pretty impressive. For young guys to come up with something quite as bold as that. Quite deserving.
Yeah, and I find that kind of idea quite engaging. Concept album, current theme, or continuous coherent theme through everything that they've done, telling a bigger story. I think all of that is great. So let's have a listen to. So yes. we're going to look at Blurryface, the album, and we're going to look at the track that was released as a single along with it, Heathens. So let's do that Heathens first.
Yeah, start with Heathens, I think.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make any sudden moves. You don't know the half of the abuse. Welcome to the room of people who have rooms of people that they love one day docked away. Just because we check the guns at the door doesn't mean our brains will change from hand grenades. You never.
So I must say I really like this track. I think this is fantastic. It's really interesting that it says that this song was leaked through a Reddit post. Later the same day, 21 Pilots tweeted a message in Morse code which read "Take it slow," which is a lyric from this. So yeah, this I think is a great way to start the show today. I think it's we were chatting before the show about how a slick, polished performance is a really attractive thing. And I think this is exactly that. This is a very coherent, well-written, well-produced, not overproduced, well-produced track. It's got a strong melody. It's got a strong chord structure. It's got a lot going for it. So this is
very popular. Yeah. It's also bleak as well. It's got a beautiful song structure, but the lyrics are really bleak and intriguing. I find that quite clever. It's quite a sweet and sour song, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you suggested that we add this to the album. Obviously, the context of it being part of the release and everything, I think is really good, and I think that it's a great example of different modern music.
Yes,
we were talking earlier that there's an awful lot of stuff which is very vanilla and cookie cutter, and this isn't that, obviously, and that I think is tremendous.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the album proper.
Yes.
Yeah. So Blurryface. This is a character that they have created, isn't it, to exhibit certain
part of that story.
Yeah, and I've watched some videos of these guys where they wear like balaclavas to kind of, so they, I suppose, are exhibiting a blurry face. And
it's like internalized. Sometimes it's actually the bad voice in your head singing, telling you what to do, and then you take the hood off, and then you no longer you're you. But so it's linked to quite a lot of Tyler's, particularly his insecurities. And when they perform initially, they'll come on stage, and more often than not, they've got the the balaclavas on, and Tyler will have had painted his hands and the back of his neck black. There's a whole reason for it, and I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but it's linked to the mental health challenges and this character. Character, it's not me, but it's there. I can never get rid of it.
Yeah. So the first track on the album, Heavy Dirty Soul.
Yes.
Now this I did recognize this track.
Okay.
So I assume that I have heard this, or maybe not, which brings me on to a bit of an issue that I have had with listening to this, is that there's been a lot of inspired by other stuff.
I'd agree with that. There was bits in this and you go, oh, what, I recognise that.
Yeah, and I find that always very, very disconcerting when I'm listening to music, because I can't then get into the music because I'm busy listening to. And
you don't go, what's that song? Yeah.
Exactly. And I did this with Eric a while ago, and it was when we were doing Wet Leg, and I couldn't listen to the album for a lot of the week because I was busy struggling with what it was that this was an exact rip-off of.
Yeah.
So this begins with it's the Prodigy to begin with. It's Firestarter. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's the drumming, and the drum. Josh Dunn is an amazing drummer. There's no electronic support for this. This is him.
Yeah,
cool.
and then about a minute and a bit, it becomes Groove Armada.
Okay.
So anyway, this is the first. Let's have a little listen and see if you get kind of where I'm coming from with this. Having said that, I hope I don't spoil it for you by saying this. I'm a fire starter.
Yeah.
Okay. And in fact, this bit is not Groove Armada, or maybe it is Groove Armada. The way, if everybody looked the same, we'd get tired of looking at each other. There's a bit of that going on in here. So I think it's really interesting because there are elements of this that are really smart and inspired, but I think it's a little bit, it's lurching from one idea to the next.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I love the fact that it does actually still flow. In my opinion, I still love the way that they can meld these ideas together. There's a fantastic bit of lyrics just after you stopped it, or just before, just after, which this inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit, which I loved.
and
you end up with a big rock chorus at the end, and it's designed for playing live. It really is.
Yeah, and I'm not being deliberately down on it, but
no, that's cool. No, it's
but
you can not like it if you don't have to.
No, but this is the funny thing. So Heathens is fantastic, and there are a couple of instances of pure brilliance here.
Oh, there's some fillers in here as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then there's this kind of, oh, I heard an idea on the radio the other day. Let's put a bit of that in, and I heard a bit of this, and let's put a bit of that in, and it's that. It's almost like lazy songwriting, and I just think it's a bit of a letdown because clearly they have talent. So, track 2,
Stressed Out. This is my family favorite. I love this song.
Yeah, now this, and I don't mean this as a criticism. This is an observation. So the best musical ever, in my opinion, is Hamilton.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So because I quite like this, absolutely love it because it's kind of modernizing the whole musical theatre genre, and the style of delivery of lyrics in this is just like it was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda that wrote Hamilton. Absolutely love this track. Absolutely love it. So
it's brilliant.
Stressed Out.
I wish I found some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink, but now I'm insecure and I care what people think. My name's Blurryface and I care what you think. My name's Blurryface and I care what you think. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time.
And in fairness, he's doing himself a disservice about wish I had a better voice to sing this, because he has got quite a good voice, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does, and I love the rhyme that doesn't rhyme, and it's got a huge sing along bit in the crowd. He normally climbs live. He will climb up the stadium. If he's playing at a festival, he'll actually climb up the stage and sing from the very top of it. And he's a fucking mad lunatic sometimes. It's a great song. It's great. It's catchy. It's got a hip hop. It's got swing to it. The drumming is amazing in it. The bass line is so simple but beautifully done. It's just a cracking song.
Yeah, a good track. So, Ride.
Yeah, this is reggae. This is definitely the
reggae. and I do love a bit of reggae. First, in the post-Eric era of that album, the first album that we did was Legend, Bob Marley, and I love this style of music. It's so relaxing, isn't it? Well,
yes.
The beat of the music and the way the lyric works is so relaxing.
I just want to stay in the sun where I find.
And this at summer festivals, when it sun's out and everyone's just swaying to this, it just works brilliantly.
Yeah, and in the notes that I found on this, it says the lyrical content of Ride speaks about going with the flow, and absolutely, it's got that kind of chilled Caribbean sort of feel to it, which is
exactly
just it's lovely, isn't it?
Yes.
I know it's hard sometimes. Yeah, I think about the end just way too much. But it's fun to fantasize. All my enemies, you wouldn't wish who I was. But it's fun to fantasize.
Yeah.
I'm boring, so I'm taking my time on my ride. I'm boring, so.
Yeah, I mean, it that whole reggae feel conjures up images of the Notting Hill Carnival to me that I went to when I was younger. And
yeah, I went to Notting Hill a couple of times. It does have that. It has that beach feel. I'll say there's another song which is even more like it, but it's that Jack Johnson style.
Yeah,
relaxed, happy, makes you feel really comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that again, it's very different from Stressed Out and Heathens. But again, another really good song.
Do you want a drink?
Yes, please. Sorry.
No, I'm teasing. So fairly local. The next track. Let's have a little listen and then have a chat.
Yeah.
When I shouldn't do, I will. They say I'm emotional. What I want to say, I'll kill. Is that who I truly am? I truly don't have a chance. Tomorrow I'll keep a beat and repeat yesterday's dance. Yo, this song.
Yeah, I mean, it is really interesting how the lyric fits with the melody of this. It's almost, I don't know, it's almost like a church choral work in many ways.
Yeah, and we were talking about before we started, we were talking about castigating individuals for using auto-tune and using the effects really work on his voice. He's layered on his voice really work in this song, and the lyrics are really interesting because it's all based around meeting fans across the country, particularly when he was touring the US, who chatting to them, they were having similar mental health issues that he was, and this is his kind of reach out to say, "You're not alone." I think it's a clever song. I like it, and the vocals seem stretched in that choral way. But it's got it's electronica influenced. It's rap. And this is not my type of music at all, but it works.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, and this again, there are so many things going on this album, and this is a track where the lyrics and the music fit together perfectly. The lyrics are not forced to fit with the rhythm of the melody. And one of the things in a number of tracks on here, the words and the music are not written simultaneously. So it's like an afterthought. So there ends up being the emphasis on the wrong syllable in lots of words. And I find that really annoying because it breaks up the flow of the lyrics as you're listening.
Yes.
And I find that just...
jarring.
And I find it distracts me from actually getting into the music in many instances. This is not one of those tracks.
I was going to say this track, it does very well. And to be honest, if I'm being honest about this, I see this as an album of two halves, and the first half is much stronger than the second half.
In part,
and I'll be intrigued to see what you think of the next song, because I really like this, but I like this partly because of what it's saying.
Yeah, Yeah, well, you're allowed to love the message as well as how it's delivered, aren't you?
Yeah.
So here we go. Tear in My Heart.
Oh, I thought it was Lane Boy. Got it wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, it is Tear in My Heart is the next song. You're right. I got it wrong. Lane Boy.
I mean, the style of this, the way that the band comes in and then stops and comes in and stops, is very much of, and I can't remember, there was a band in the 80s, it's a bit like Squeeze. It wasn't Squeeze, but a bit like that. It's very much of that ilk.
Yeah, I think it's piano driven, and that's why you're probably saying Squeeze.
Yeah. And I think that the issue is that we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks, and it's like they've come from 5 different bands. and that I find that a terrible shame, because it's like they're searching for their sound. And bands that have got that, you know, when you hear a Led Zeppelin song, you know exactly who it is. When you hear a ELO song, you know exactly who it is. When you hear I don't know, Joni Mitchell, you know exactly who it is. And here, it's like they don't know who they are, really.
I think it's interesting. You're listening to one album, you're actually getting that view. I've now listened to all their albums, and I think this is still quite early stages. They were still trying to find their feet, and they have all these different influences. But I think you're right. I think it does get a little bit jarring. This one is quite interesting. I thought Billy Joel
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And actually, live they do play a couple of Billy Joel songs just as sort of in between songs, just to mess around. So there's clearly an influence there.
That's probably where the inspiration came from then. Yeah, absolutely. So Lane Boy.
Yes, you probably hate this one, but I really like it. Awesome drumming.
Yeah, you see, no, this I'm all right with.
Okay.
I'm all right. Now, and the reason that I'm wanting to play them first is obviously because there has not been a strong identity for each of the tracks in many instances. It's kind of like a split personality almost. I've only had a week to listen to this.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's 12 tracks or whatever it is, which is like 30 different styles of music. So I have become a little confused about which track is which. But this bit of Lane Boy is great, absolutely great.
We go where we want to. They think this thing is a highway. Well, they feel like
yeah, Jim, I'm with you.
They think this thing is a highway. If it was highway, we'd have a tempo change every other time change. Cause our minds change on what we think is good. I wasn't raised in the hood, but I know a thing or two about pain and darkness. If it wasn't for this music, I don't know how I would have fought this. Regardless, all these songs I'm hearing are so heartless. Don't trust a perfect person and don't trust a song that's flawless. Honest, there's a few songs on this record that feel common. I'm in constant confrontation with what I want and what is popping in the industry. It seems to me that singles on the radio are currency. My creativity's on the feet when I'm playing shows. This is in your lane, boy. We go where we want to.
No, this is all right. This track. This is all right.
This is one where he's railing against the music industry for trying to pigeonhole them, for forcing them to go down. And so stay in your lane is that's where you're going to do. You've made a hit there. Do more Stressed Out, or do more Heathens. That's what you're going to do. Stick with it. And he said, actually, I quite like me. He's such a talented musician, Tyler Joseph. And he plays so many instruments. It's quite scary, actually, quite how many he plays. That his influences are all over the place. And this live, particularly when there's a drop at the end where everything goes a bit crazy, that live is explosive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the video, but the video that they play for this is near the end. It's got the entire crowd sat down. There's about 20,000 people out at a festival. They're all just sat down, and then when it goes, everyone just goes mad.
Up on their feet. Yeah,
it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so you had no fear with that. The Judge, the next one. This, I mean, yeah, you can see that they've been influenced by lots of different things. I can't help thinking that the chorus of this, about a minute in, it's a Eurovision Song Contest entrant.
Oh, go for it! Go on.
So let's play the opening.
Loads of more ukulele.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't play guitar, he plays ukulele. Doesn't know how to play guitar. Plays bass and ukulele. This is very Jack Johnson-like.
Yeah, very.
When the leader of the bad guys sang something soft and soaked in pain,
yes, Jim.
I heard the echo from his secret hideaway.
And you see, this is again, my issue. And let's be honest, I'm not the sole barometer for what's good or bad. And clearly, these guys are monstrously successful, being the first album ever where every single track has got gold status. But we've got something here which is really charming, and I don't mean that in a condescending way. It's a really
it's a charming song. It is,
charming song, and then get halfway through, and it's then something entirely different. It's like, why would you do that? You had something really good going on there,
and then it goes to the piano in the chorus.
As he cranked out those dismal chords, and his four walls declared him insane. I found my way, right time, wrong place, as I pled my case. You're the judge, oh no.
Yeah.
You're the judge, oh no. Set me free.
You see what I mean?
I've written down this reminds me of an 80s song.
Yeah.
And you're right. And I think you're probably right. That
what's the one where they rip the skirts off?
Bucks Fizz.
Bucks Fizz, yeah. It's a Bucks Fizz song, isn't it, basically?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, it doesn't start off like that. Yeah, okay, I must admit that.
But the opening of it, like I said, absolutely charming, delightful, intimate song.
And when they're live, when they're singing the stuff that's predominantly like, it's better than Bucks Fizz. Jim made a good point about keeping you engaged, and the fact that things are different, and what's lacking so much in modern pop music is that difference. And just playing four chords, and chorus, bridge,
absolutely,
chorus, end.
Yeah.
But I also take your point that on occasions they do go a bit too far, and it's like, just play it straight for once.
Yeah. So my note about the next one, Doubt, is Eminem.
Okay. Yeah. I had R&B in here.
Right.
Because I don't really like R&B. I like the original R&B, interpretation of rhythm and blues. I don't like the modern version of R&B.
Yeah.
Scared of my own image, scared of my own immaturity, scared of my own ceiling, scared I'll die of uncertainty. Fear might be the death of me. Fear leads to anxiety.
Yeah, Andrew, I agree. It has a Gorillaz feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the next track, Polarize, I thought this was really good.
Oh, okay.
So
I do like this one.
I thought this was real. Really unique. This was not inspired by anyone else. This was them writing themselves from scratch, and all the better because of it, I thought.
Oh, cool. Okay then. Well, let's give it a go.
help me polarize, help me polarize, help me down. Those stairs is where I be all my problems. Help me polarize, help me polarize, help me out. My friends and I, we got a lot of problems. You know where I'm coming from, though I am running to you. All I feel is tonight, tonight, tonight. You, I wanted to be a better brother, better son. Wanted to be a better.
See, so all the changes in this from one melodic theme to the next are executed beautifully smoothly. So this makes perfect sense to me as a track.
Yeah, it's less jarring.
Yeah, this hangs together really well, and there's nothing in here that I could identify as being, oh, well, that was heavily influenced by band X or band Y.
I put we went from reggae to Rammstein to pop, but in a way that you just.
It was a seamless transition.
Yeah. And some of it is jarring. And I absolutely accept that. And this is not the perfect album. I just wanted you to listen to it because I found it so intriguing, and I just really appreciated your view.
Yeah, it's definitely that. And I think what's fascinating about it is that, and I end up saying exactly this every single week. Every time I'm listening to these things, I'm hearing new stuff inside them, and particularly in this environment when you're saying, look at that bit over there and have a listen to this bit here, and do you hear that? And here's why it's doing that. And it's a really great learning experience to have these bits pointed out. I'm still incredibly baffled by the album. Because there are bits of it that are sensational and bits of it that are just so shoddy and slapdash that I just think, why would you do that?
Yeah, it was also produced by different people. So some of the album was produced, but I can't remember their names. But I think there were about 3 different production times when they were doing it, and that might reflect that. They were also about 25 when they were doing this. They're much. The albums I think have got progressively less jarry.
And is that because they found themselves?
Yeah, found themselves. But the songs they've got are, if you take probably 3 or 4 songs out of this album, they've probably got 3 or 4 out of each album that are as good. And as their body of work grows, they've got one hell of a
best of album.
Yeah. It'd be brilliant to do a best of one.
Yeah.
So I really like the next one. I'm intrigued if you don't like it or not.
So this is we don't
believe what's on TV.
Yeah. So I thought this reminded me of Idols that Paul and I covered a few weeks ago, and I thought this was interesting. I was not a fan of Idols. I know they've got an incredibly loyal fan base, and lots of people kind of feel that they're family. But this was not a. This one I kind of struggled with a bit.
This is ukulele pop. ukulele punk. Sorry.
We don't believe what's on TV because it's what we want to see.
Yeah, it's a good point, Andrew.
And what we want, we know we can't believe. We have all learned to kill our dreams. I need to know that when I fail, you'll still be here. 'Cause if you stick around, I'll sing you pretty sounds and we'll make money selling your hair. I don't care what's in your hair. I just want to know what's on your mind.
Yeah, again, it's that juxtaposition that's.
We'll make money selling your hair. I love as a line.
Yeah,
it is ukulele punk. I can imagine the Ramones doing this with power chords.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would be equally as good.
Yep.
But it's the fact that he's doing it on a ukulele, which is a bit intriguing, and he's got horns in the background.
Yeah, and I think that again, you know, that they've got a lot of different musical textures and sounds that they've created, and I think that's the downfall of this album for me.
Mhm.
You know, so the next track, Message Man, I've put here, and don't get me wrong, this is a compliment, not a criticism. Gratuitous use of the Hammond organ. and I thought this was great because this was and I guess I'm talking against myself when I say this. This was an introduction of something entirely fresh and unexpected in the album.
Okay.
This didn't feel like a lurch into something else. This felt like a different sort of direction.
Yeah, just sort of a different dynamic rather than a completely out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very reggae oriented.
A mask of my disguise, and who I am today is worse than other times. You don't know what I've done. I'm wanted and on the run. I'm wanted and on the run. So I'm taking this moment to live in the future. Release me from the prison. I'm obsessing on these questions. Why I'm in denial.
Yeah, so definitely this is one of the more sophisticated and polished tracks on the album for me.
Okay. It reminds me a little bit of the Arctic Monkeys, sort of the mid-period Arctic Monkeys. But just the way we're singing there, just the melody.
Yeah.
That it just picked up on something that I've heard before. Again, it's one that I quite like. It's not my favourite, but it's good. Inspired by George Formby.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I
think that's grossly unfair. Although George Formby was one of the very few virtuoso ukulele players. Although not many people would admit to having his entire back catalogue, would they? Yeah, so that was good. I know what you mean about it being a weaker second half, but at the end, I'll tell you why I don't think it is a weaker second half.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
So,
Hometown.
Yeah,
this is more a pop song.
Yeah, this gave me shades of Pet Shop Boys. Particularly at the start of this.
I must admit, I'm not a fan of this one.
Are you not?
No, I like all their music, but it's not one that really
doesn't really resonate with you. Yeah.
Yeah. Pet Shop Boys influence, yeah. Cool.
A bit like the opening to the Clothes show.
Be the one to take my soul and make it undone. Be the one to take me home and show me the sun. I know, you can bring the fire, I can bring the bones. I know, you make the fire up.
See, I'm just an old disco lad at heart, aren't I? I'm liking this.
It's beautifully done, really, really well done. The keyboard's very 80s keyboard. There actually is guitar in this later on. There's a breakdown later on where the guitar kicks in. So it's a good. It doesn't offend me. I think it's quite a good song. It just doesn't really move me like something like Stressed Out. Or actually, I think it's partly down to the fact that the drums aren't doing much in the song. Maybe it's because the drums really get me going in this album, or anything to do with the 21 Pilots, particularly if you're watching them live. Watching Josh play the drums is just brilliant.
Yeah,
it's one of the most animated drummers you'll ever see.
Just on this comment. I think that means Andrew is asking to do the George Formby album.
I think he is.
Yeah, closet George Formby fan. So it's a shame that you're not a fan of that one, because I kind of quite like that. I like the polished element.
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying it's not it's not one that really gets me going.
Right. So not today. The penultimate track.
Yes.
Thoughts on this?
It's quite upbeat. It's much more straightforward. Some great trumpet playing in it, which is actually the drummer playing the trumpet.
Another talented sod.
Yeah.
How annoying.
I don't know why. I just feel I'm better off staying in the same room I was born in. I look outside and see a whole world better off without me in it, trying to transform it. You are out of my mind.
Amazing lyrics.
Oh, you aren't seeing my side. Oh, you waste all this time trying to get to me, but you are out of my mind. Yeah. Listen, I know this one's a contradiction because of how happy it sounds.
I think clearly these guys have spent a lot of time going to musicals, stage musicals.
Really? Okay.
Because I think that how that little phrase there, it's like it
does transition in that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and the storytelling nature of what they're saying, it's not oh, my baby done left me and that kind of thing. It's telling a very coherent story. Although I'm not sure they always deliver it in quite the best way when they tell.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say go for Trench, Josh, the album after this one.
Which brings us on to the last track, Goner.
Yeah, I thought this was almost a coda for Stressed Out.
Well, excuse my language. I said about this, fucking brilliant. This is the high point of the album for me.
Okay.
Absolutely. This was devastating. And I think that this, with the fact that we did Heathens first, this bookends for me a very confusing album. There are elements of the album that are great. There are those pockets of things that I really like. I really like Message Man. I really like Polarize. I like some of the tracks at the very beginning. But lots of this, there are elements that have really jarred. The lurching from one theme to the next within a track, I find that quite off-putting. I think in here, at times, there is some of the worst rapping I've ever heard. That whole kind of not emphasizing the correct part of the word just makes it sound like the word salad has been tipped onto a theme. But then there are points like this where, okay, there's some real talent here. And it strikes me that because clearly these guys have got talent, they have got very wide-ranging musical tastes.
Yes.
What they need is a George Martin type character. They need somebody to focus that into something which is more coherent and has a sound. Now, I know the Beatles had a huge breadth of stuff, obviously, from early Beatles through to
but it transitioned, didn't it?
And it was very smooth.
And all at once.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't like a best of album where you've got a twist and shout and then I'm the Walrus and then I don't know,
because if the best of album and if you took the one album, if that had come out as an album,
it would have made no sense, would it?
Yeah. But if you know with the transition, it kind of does make sense.
Yeah. So this track, absolutely the high point of the album for me.
Oh, cool.
So let's have a bit of a blast of this.
I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I wanna be known by you. I wanna be known by you. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I wanna be known by you. I wanna be known by you. Though I'm weak, beaten down, I'll slip away into the sound. The ghost of you is close to me. I'm inside out, you're underneath. I've got two faces. Blur.
I find it really moving, this track.
It is very moving. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think it's very dark, and the piano is played beautifully.
Yeah, but I think it's like Keen. You know, it's that piano-led, very clear vocal. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I found that this for me rescued the whole album, you know, because it starts off really well, and then it does, you know, largely it dips, and then this at the end brings me back to think, actually, this wasn't a waste for me listening to this.
And I'm relieved to hear that.
Yeah, no, and what I found was that, and it's amazing how music takes you on these journeys. I found that I was exploring the things that the snippets of these different tracks sounded like. So I listened to Groove Armada, and I listened to Maroon 6, and I listened to Moby, and I listened to a whole host of stuff that this has been obviously influenced by. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful, because it was an interesting journey listening to all of this other stuff that I've not listened to for decades. But this last track it's one of the best tracks I've heard. Absolutely. Really? One of the best tracks I've heard.
Yeah, and it has a very rock ending at the end, doesn't it? It'll suddenly goes, it builds and builds and builds and builds to the end, and then goes back to that melancholic line. I'm really glad that you liked it, and I knew that you'd enjoy the musicianship of it.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, it's good art is art that challenges you.
Yes.
You know, if you sit down and you listen to something, and it's like from the first time you put the needle in the groove, you just go, "Yeah, that's really nice." Actually, you've bottomed it out. There's nothing more to explore.
And I think that's why I like it, because, you know, my musical taste is pretty, you know, set rock, hard rock, blues centered, heavy metal, and this isn't. But I'm intrigued by it. I love it. I love the lyrics are well written. They're clever. They're quite sad. There's some great tunes out there. I could list a load of them that they've done, which, particularly with the visuals of the videos, are really, really good.
Some of their videos were outstanding. The one with the one where they were pretending to be kids again, and they were cycling their
stressed out.
Yeah, just absolutely lovely. Lovely.
Yeah, really, really well done. There's one called, I can't remember its name, which is about mental health. I'll send you it. Put it in the chat afterwards.
Yeah.
He shaves his head during the video.
Right.
And it's Car Radio, it's called.
Right.
So I recommend Car Radio is definitely worth looking into.
I think that one of the most profound things that we had from the audience was this comment from Andrew.
Yeah,
you know, and absolutely right, and I totally get that. And with what you said and this comment, it kind of makes much more sense now. And you know, you said it was a story, and it was a story across a series of albums, and you know, it's taking us on this journey, and it's a concept albums rather than a concept album.
Yeah,
and actually now it kind of, some of the pieces that were abstract and floating have fallen into place, and it makes much more sense now.
Brilliant. Well,
So
I'm really glad that you.
What can I say? A great week, interesting, challenging, and all the better for it. So thank you very much indeed, Sean. I really have appreciated this, and
I've now got to think of something else to you're really challenging person to get an album for, because I go, oh, got that one and that one. I go, oh, it might not like that. You know, it's trying to find something.
Actually, you know, I've not liked a number of albums. I've not liked some of the albums that I've brought to the show. So I do think that it's really interesting to explore these things in more detail than perhaps one normally would when one's listening to them. And I just love, I love the fact that every time somebody comes on the show, you know, the passion that my co-host has for stuff, like Jim last week with Tangerine Dream, it's infectious. And stuff that I wouldn't normally listen to, I find myself listening to and enjoying, particularly with the narrative that the guest brings. So, what can I say? It's been a wonderful week.
Pleasure, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. Enjoy your holiday next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody in the audience, and I hopefully see you all next week. Until then, goodbye.